What's up, community group leaders at Crossbridge Brickell? I'm here at Pipeline, and I'm here to talk about our next coaching session, which is invitations. We are expanding the word bless to blessing, and we're using the I of invitations, and we're going to talk about that today. Since Alpha and Easter are coming up so soon, Carter and I thought it would be wise to talk about the importance of invitations. And I want to talk about just two things with you today, and how God's invitations are powerful and God's invitations have a pathway. So let's briefly talk first about how God's invitation is powerful. Jesus started his entire gospel kingdom movement in the world with a simple invitation: come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. He's talking to Peter, who was a fisherman, and he enters into that vocation and he gives it its true nature. He said, not only will you be fishing for fish, but you're going to be now fishing for men. And boom, that invitation changed the world. Statisticians have told us for years that the main reason why people join the local body of the church is because a friend had initially invited them. Next thing I want to talk about is the pathway in which God invites people from being strangers to family. God always invites his disciples to go take that next step, to go further, to grow deeper. But he doesn't force us. It's a process of invitations. And the next thing I want to say is that Paul, he says in Colossians 4, verse 5, be wise in the way you act towards unbelievers. Make the most of every opportunity. So it's taking that idea and making the most out of all of our opportunities that we have with our contacts. Because the reality is that you have a unique group of contacts that only you have. They're not the same as mine or Carter or anybody else. And the question is, how are we going to steward those contacts? And the way to help us steward those contacts well, there's a tool that I want to share with you. And I'm going to move it over here. There it is. We're talking about touches, talks, it's backwards, and tables. There we go. So touches, talks, and tables. And I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper about that. Talk about touches. Now, these are the people you see in your routine life. And these are the people you touch base with. And the goal here is to go from strangers to acquaintances. Like, for instance, my CrossFit coach. I would touch base with him saying, how was your competition last week? Or how was your trip to Spain? This is all about your life rhythms. Touches are about your routines and your rhythms. So think of it this way. They're in your rhythms and routines. God will invite you into the life of another. And so you think about who you work with at the gym, at the park, social media, who's at the grocery store, who's at the gas pump, who's at the street, who's at the bar. These are all your rhythms that you do week in, week out, and you bump into these people. So I want you to think and pray about who God may be inviting you to make a touch with. Next concentric circle are talks. Regular touches will lead to these talks. This is going to beyond superficial chats to more substantial matters. If touches require rhythms, talks require receptivity. People open up. And this is God's invitation to you, again, from making someone an acquaintance, a friend. See my beautiful chart here in the pathway? So the goal here in talks is becoming friends. The last concentric circle is tables. This is where friends come into the family, the church body. We've talked last time about the importance of eating together. We said this was Jesus' method. He didn't have any fancy strategies. This was it. He was at tables eating with sinners and tax collectors. And we also talked about how this is a way to not only build community, but also be on mission together. And it's easy. We all have to eat. It's a lob ball. This is not complicated. Now, to get to the table requires invitation. These other touches and talks are not necessarily invitations, but to get to the table, we need to make a personal invite. So this is possibly the reason why God has you in contact with this person so that he can get to know them through you. It's not all about you. It's not all about me. It's about Jesus and him wanting to get to know your friends. Now, I'm going to broaden this topic of table, not just to eating a meal with them at your house or at a restaurant, but I think the most strategic way, the more strategic environment to invite them is to Alpha, to your community group, and to especially the worship service at Brickell. That's what I'm thinking about when I talk about tables. It's no coincidence that all of these environments have great food, and it's no coincidence that we celebrate the Lord's Supper every single Sunday. Now, there are many ways to invite, but there's a principle here. The more personal and direct, the better. General group invites, they're okay. They may come. You can make, even if you just do an invite on social media, text, they're good. Phone calls, much better. But nothing beats a personal face-to-face to invite them. You know why? Because people want to be asked. And people want to be wanted. There's power in a direct personal ask face-to-face. That really is the secret to fundraising, is getting to a table to talk to them about how they can join you and you personally asking them to that. Now, we all have limitations. We all have margin. We all have unique places where we live, work, and play. We all have strangers in our worlds. And just like Paul, we want to do all things for the sake of the gospel. This invitation pathway can help us all to introduce many people to Jesus, one step, one talk, one meal, and one invitation at a time. Thanks for staying put with me. Your time is precious, and making it to the end is a big thumbs up. I have questions that we're going to be discussing at our next Zoom call and the show notes. So look there if you want to see the questions, and please come ready to discuss this whole invitation pathway. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you soon.